you being paid a fair wage? Think you deserve more money? Well, we agree, so we're gonna find out how to get you that raise. Please welcome negotiation specialist, coach, and speaker, Fotini Iconomopoulos. Welcome to the show, Fotini.
You're here to make us money.
I love that. I love this conversation we're about to. Welcome to the show, and I love this conversation we're gonna have. But I heard they called you the negotiator when you were growing up. I need to hear the story about this.
Yeah, I was probably about 6 years old when my dad started calling me that because my sister, my cousins, they'd all be like, "Can you go talk to them about this? Can you ask for that?" So I was the ball buster when I was a kid.
I like that.
Do more people need to be better at negotiating? Is that something that people aren't good at?
Absolutely. Most people fear it. So there's an inherent fear of negotiating, and that's part of my job is to help to remove some of that. Because when you're under stress, you don't want to attempt those things. So just like any other fear, negotiation is one of those.
Now, are they afraid because they want to be nice? Everybody wants to come off as being nice, and asking for money kind of doesn't feel nice.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to be liked. It's inherent. It's part of our subconscious mind. And if I talk about money, maybe I won't be liked if that's the case.
Is there a difference between women and men? Because I feel like as women, maybe we're a little more hesitant to ask for what we want.
We are, and rightly so. So if you look at, there's a huge insurgence now of information from places like Lean In and stuff like that tell us that women are shying away from these things. There was a professor from Carnegie Mellon who wrote a fantastic book on women in negotiation called Women Don't Ask. And she found when she surveyed people, and as part of this study, she found that only 7% of women were negotiating their first salary.
Wow.
Versus 7% of men were.
Wow.
That's a huge gap.
And that 7% were just accepting what was offered to them.
That's right.
Initially.
And for those who did negotiate, whether they were male or female, they managed to increase their compensation by 7% as well. So then another professor took that further from Stanford and said, if you compare these two people, one who negotiated and one who didn't, and they have the same promotions and the same salary expectations throughout the rest of their 35-year career, that person who didn't negotiate is going to have to work an additional 8 years in order to have the same wealth at retirement.
No!
Well, when you put it like that, it makes you want to speak up. But don't you think that kind of comes from the way that women are raised? We're raised to be polite and to not ask and don't be too forward, whereas boys are raised to be like, go, get them, ask for what you want. That's how you get it. Is that part of it?
That's a huge part of it. And that's actually cited in the book, the Women Don't Ask book. So when you think about how we're taught to play, we're taught to play in roles. We're playing house, we're playing with Barbies, we're playing with all of these things that put us in a box. Boys are told, go play, go outside, be wild. And they're not given those limitations that women are.
Right.
Well, let's get out of that box. I don't like that box. You like that box? We don't like that box, right, ladies? That's what I thought. All right, so we have some questions that serve the women who are not getting the money they deserve. And the first one is, you should set an amount to ask for based on your current financial needs. Is this a yes or no?
What do you think? Shout it out. Yes or no? No. Yes?
The answer is no.
Really? Okay, so why shouldn't we be asking for money based on our financial needs?
Because it's not about your needs, it's what you deserve to be paid. You may only need $60,000 to live. But what if everybody else in your field is getting paid $100,000? Why should you settle for $60,000? So it's about doing your homework and preparing and finding that information out. Using websites like Glassdoor, where people report what their salaries are like. Asking people in your industry and maybe even in your company, what should I expect to get out of this particular scenario and for my role? It's finding out what you are worth and your value, preparing all of that, and also practicing asking for that amount as well.
Right. It's such good advice to ask people in your own world. I asked my father what I should make in my first job. He gave me a number. I asked for it, and they said, like, oh, yeah, no problem, sure. And then I found out everyone was making way more.
Oh, wow.
So you have to ask people who know what they're talking about, Dad.
Yes. Listen, at least your dad gave you an answer. My dad would be like, just take the job and get out of the house. Right?
Okay, here's the next yes or no question. We want to hear what you think. If they won't meet your salary expectations, you should walk away, yes or no? No. Predominantly no.
You have a smart audience. The answer is no.
Okay,
Wow.
So what should you do?
So that doesn't mean you shouldn't consider walking away if it's not a right fit for you or they're not moving, but there's so much to look at beyond just salary. So what other forms of compensation can they give you? So before you just walk away, it's have I exhausted every single piece of wealth that I can accumulate? What about things like vacation time, if that's important to you? What about flex time, so I'm not spending all that money on the TTC or whatever mode of transportation or parking? What about, can they cover my cell phone? That's a lot less money out of my pocket, even though it's not technically in my salary. Car car expenses, all sorts of things like that can add to making you wealthier at the end of the year, but maybe those budgets for salaries are all tapped out. So it's worth having conversations about the total compensation package.
Other things.
All right, that's a good one. All right, suppose you get the job and the money is okay. Is it all right to ask when the next raise will be? Yes or no?
In the same question?
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this is, you're gonna pay me, we'll just say 40,000. Is it okay for me to ask? When will the next raise be? Is it an annual raise, and how much? Is it 3%, 5%?
Yes or no?
Right, yes or no, is that okay? All right,
we're
Fotini,
divided.
negotiator, what's the answer?
It is more than okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the answer
Really?
is yes.
Isn't that sort of like eating dinner and saying, when are you going to invite me over again?
But you're always thinking about what the next negotiation as well. So you're not going to do it in an ungrateful manner. It's an opportunity to go, this is great, thank you for that. Just so I'm aware and I plot out my future and I'm really thinking long term of my role in this organization, when is the next opportunity for us to have this discussion? I understand you can't meet my needs perhaps all right now, but when will we be able to have this conversation again later? So it's about expectation management, both yours and theirs. If you don't ask now, when will you be able to have that awkward conversation? It's already awkward, so why not just get it all out in the open now?
Right. I have a tip, which is an actual tip that I use, and I know it's crazy, but as a woman, sometimes I get very emotional. I have a hard time not crying, having difficult conversations with bosses and asking for things that I need.
Which you don't want to do.
You don't want to do that. So I developed a technique about 7 years ago. I call her Shoshana. She's an alter ego that exists when I put on my glasses.
And that works?
It works. Every time I need to have a difficult conversation with somebody in the workplace, I put on my glasses and I feel like there's some kind of a barrier between myself
I need to try this.
and the person I'm talking to.
This relationship is not working for me. No.
I mean, it seems silly, but for me it works. I feel like I'm putting on some kind of a persona and I'm more able to ask for what I want when I'm wearing my glasses. Do you respect
The audience
me?
is kind of iffy on that one.
Do you respect me more?
All right, so while Jessie is using her glasses to get more money, do you have any last tips for us
Yes.
on how to negotiate?
2. One is get it in writing. If you've been successful and you've managed to get them to cover your cell phone bill or whatever else is coming next, make sure you get it in writing, whether it's in the contract or if they're not comfortable with that, do it in a summary email. Write back to them and say, thanks so much for today's meeting. I really appreciate you bringing up this, this, and this. I look forward to, our new working life together. But the other thing is, you mentioned the glasses. I try to teach my audiences, whether it's my MBA students or even executives, take time to pause. So find your coping mechanism. I tell people, imagine a pause button. And when you're under stress, take a minute to just press the pause button and think before speaking. Because it is going to get emotional and it's going to get really stressful. So for you, it's pausing to put your glasses on or remembering that you are now Shoshana. But for somebody else, it's just taking that moment to think about what you want to say before you say it and get everything that you deserve.
Okay.
Okay, we're just going to take a moment to think about that.
I'm going to pause.
Just
Fotini, this has been a wonderful conversation, but we have to end this
yeah,
conversation
thank you
right
so
now.
much. Thank you so much. I'm going to throw to commercial so I can run up to my boss's office and have a quick chat.
Hey, do that for the both of us.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right, so after the break, our Frugalista is here with gift ideas to save you cash. Don't go away. Oh, these glasses are strong. Oh, look, I can barely see anything. Those are great tips, though.